Good afternoon, those who are over here in Europe, and good morning to those who are just like David Buurma right now, all the way in Canada or America. Today I have David Buurma, and we will be talking about how to become successful and how to maintain your success in your life. Hi, David. How are you today?
Good morning. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thanks.
I like how actually technology allows us to be literally anywhere in the world because right now you have early morning there. What time is it there now?
8:10. Time for work.
Wow. That's crazy. And I wonder where are people joining us from because I do know that people are joining us usually from around the world. So it'll be quite interesting to go with this topic, global. So please do share this video if you're watching us right now or later on a replay. So David, I know that you're a really successful man. You're a self-made man who actually was working really, really hard and then start working really, really smart and then you build a success. And there's so many people who are still striving for that success. What would advice would you give them when it comes to financial success?
So far as financial success, I think one thing is your mindset. I would say, if if I tell you anything, I think to be honest, it's actually easier than ever to be successful. One thing that is going in our disadvantage in a lot of countries is there becoming more and more red tape. In other words, a lot more rules and regulations, which really hinders entrepreneurs to grow past a certain level. Starting to have employees and that kind of stuff. There's too many rules for that. So, but in general, for an entrepreneur to become successful on his own, it's actually pretty easy. And why I say that, I'll give you an example. So in our country, we have a lot of people that are applying for minimum wage jobs, right?
Mm.
And there's just lots of people that are looking for the job, and there's only so much work. 15 bucks Canadian is our minimum wage. But we on the farm, we pay, good employees 25 to 30. And so that's almost twice as much. And
Yeah.
yet we actually have a hard time finding them, right? Because it comes with skill, right? So it doesn't matter if you're, or even a truck driver, good paid truck driver can pay to get the kind of money too. And so that's twice as much as minimum wage. And plus they work lots of hours, they work part-time, they have their truck, they leave it from home. As soon as they get in the truck, they're getting paid, they're getting benefits, they're getting different perks they're getting, right? So they're getting way more than anybody in minimum wage. And so what's interesting in life, I always say is really interesting, is that, you know, not only when you become somewhat skilled in your occupation, then not only you get paid well, but you also work long hours because you're so needed, right? I know people that are skilled maybe just in doing some kind of framing or building or tile laying or any of that kind of stuff. Those people are making 50, 60, 70 bucks an hour, right? In those kind of specific skills. So that kind of money is incredible, right? Is incredible. So you put that kind of money and you put in the hours, you definitely can bring in some good cash home. So definitely, if you look at it the way that, with your tunnel vision, you say, how can I make money at minimum wage? No, I'm not suggesting be at minimum wage. Become skilled in something, find your strength, and definitely there's opportunity.
I love that. I love that. And the truth is, you are right when you're saying in it nowadays, right now, this time, it's easier than ever. We have the technology, we have the time, we have everything in our power, in our hands to actually use it all for our own benefit. But the biggest challenge right now people are facing is the more they become successful financially, the more they chase that, right? And what's interesting, particularly man, it's almost like a belief in man that the more successful I am financially, the more I'll be loved. And what happens in families, men work more and more and more, but it doesn't make that woman to appreciate them more. And then they bring more money, but not necessarily that will make women happy. And I remember when I was reading John Gray's book, Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus, he specifically says this phrase. He says, the more financial success family has, the more women become unhappy because now they pay attention to other things and other areas in their family rather than money. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so financial success and work is a man's world, okay?
Mhm.
And I don't mean that to be sexist, but what I'm saying that is that a lot of guys do this to find the pleasure or praise from their father, right?
Yeah,
To feel like they've been accomplished, right? And so when
yeah,
they get a level of success and whatever they think their eyes is a level of success, they feel like they'll be loved by their father. So that's the reason why a lot of guys do it. And quite frankly, it's the one measure that us guys can actually measure against to see a level of success for us, right? So there's not something, if we have a great relationship with our wife, we can't go and say, you can't go around and say, you know what, I have great relationships with my wife because it's not something that's easily measured, right? It's
right,
not. It's only
right,
two people that know you have a good relationship, and that's you and your wife.
yeah,
So there isn't the motivation to begin with for men to grow in that area. So yes, of course. I mean, there. I think it's two different things. I don't know. I compartmentalize a lot of things in life. Relationships, health, and your business and your spiritual life. I compartmentalize them all. So I can see why women will not necessarily grow fonder of their man, but there's a lot of things
mm,
going involved in just spending maybe too much time at work. I think I think you still do a lot of hours at work and still meet the needs of your wife, as
yeah,
long as you know what they are. A lot of times, what we're doing is we're spending time with our wife. We're not meeting her needs anyway. So, what's the
yeah.
point of spending more time with her if you're not going to meet her needs anyways?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is so powerful. I love how you actually went into that particular topic, how to actually in relationships you have to make sure you meet each other needs. Because again, there's no point to be with a business partner with whom you don't have common goals, with whom you don't have kind of skills which you supply for each other and you together make a nice union. You complement each other. But the same in the family, if you don't really complement each other and if you don't fulfill each other's needs, just like in a business, your own your vision, your common vision, unfortunately, it's not going to work out. And my personal belief is that before we succeed financially, it's quite important to actually become successful in your head. What means it's being in good relationship with your partner if you have one, or even if you don't have one, it doesn't mean you're not successful. It means being good relationship with yourself. Learn how to meet your own needs so you can also meet your partner's needs in the future. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think again, it gets a little more complicated when you're married. To be honest, I've been single for 5 years, and I don't have the need to provide and that kind of stuff. So my risk tolerance gets higher being on my own. So yeah, obviously, 100%. Making sure your head's in the right space and having the right people around you so that your head's in the right space, and not that there's things that are negative around you, but that you don't have a level of negativity. Like we're dealing right now with COVID and coronavirus. And so definitely there's things that I'm always sorting out that, then the election, and there's a lot of things that are unsettling right now. And yes, I could get tied up with that, but I got to keep on putting my head on straight and staying focused on what I can make a difference in, what I can be positive with, and how I can make a difference with the people that I'm around, right? So, so so yeah, having your head in the right space, 100%, and having a great relationship with yourself, so to speak, which I call that. I mean, whatever it is, if you need to go for a walk, you need to do exercise, if you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say that you're amazing or whatever you got to do, go do it, right?
I love that. Exactly. There is no such a thing as one size fits all. If I enjoy walks, it doesn't mean somebody else will enjoy those walks, but it's finding what actually will make you feel good so you actually can be at peace with yourself. Because again, the worst thing what we can do when we are building our financial success is not to be okay with ourselves, not feeling good enough, not feeling that you are an achiever, not feeling that you already accomplished something. Because what happens, the more successful you become, the worst enemy you become to yourself. Because if you haven't learned how to appreciate little success in your life, how can we appreciate big success in our life? Can you relate to
Yeah.
that? Have you ever experienced that, like you wouldn't really appreciate yourself or you wouldn't be proud of yourself? Can you relate to that at all?
Well, I look at it as being appreciative. So, it doesn't matter. It's always the small things that make the biggest difference as far as being appreciative, like the meal on the table, the warm
Yeah,
house you come into, the nice vehicle, the four-wheel drive in your vehicle when you're going through snow. I mean, it can be the smallest things that you could be thankful for, and that's where it grows from. Again, I think there's so many levels to, again, when you talk about at the very beginning, success,
Mm.
and going back to all the other things. When a lot of people find they get that imbalance in life, they're
Yeah.
overweight and they're financially successful. Well, it's just a focus that you focused on one thing more than the other. And so therefore it's a result of that, right? So, and I'd say pulling yourself away from the situation and looking at it from a different angle is very, very important. I remember when I was in a relationship, talking about relationship, when I was in a relationship, it was really, really hard for me to see what I was dealing with when I was in the situation.
Mm.
So pulling yourself out and getting some other advice, or whatever you do, you can find good advice. That's the other part. That's very important.
Love that. And I think nowadays there's still a big stigma about going out there somewhere else and seek advice, because for some reason people still think they can figure that out. They can resolve things by themselves. But the truth is, nobody was given a manual. Nobody knows how. It's about going to somebody who already can help you with already information what they have, already tools what they have, rather to people who have no clue, have no education, and they copy their parents in most cases, right? Or they copy other role models, not necessarily perfect role models, and they somehow, somewhat are trying to build relationships, doing their mistakes. And the worst thing happened, David, what I realized very often I was observing couples when they would actually divorce and break up at the moment of their lives when their financial success will be just about to happen. And it's so interesting how they stuck together whilst they were tough time. But as soon as there's financial success, for some reason people just separate. And that was always puzzling me, like why does it happen? But I guess what you said earlier is because maybe they didn't know how to appreciate little things, and they were focusing too much on one thing and only, which was financial success. And when the focus got removed, because now they didn't have to chase that much, probably they start paying attention to, okay, am I really happy? Am I really satisfied? What else am I missing in my life rather than just money?
Yeah, and I would say, in my situation, it's funny they bring it up. I never owned a house in my life. I built a nice, 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 beautiful house with my ex, and it wasn't a year later that she separated from me. But when I look back now, again, I was too driven, too focused, too all that kind of stuff, and I think she realized that, hey, this guy's never going to get off the train. Right? He's gonna stay too driven, too focused forever. And again, I think there's a lot more other things that are going on. And this is an interesting topic because what I've noticed nowadays in our society, what's happening is that people are not willing to have the relationship that their parents had if it wasn't good. For the
Mm.
most part, most people
Yeah.
aren't that great. But a lot of times, what I'm also noticing, people are not willing to do the work necessary to make a difference, right? So they're not willing for one side, but they're also not willing the other side to do the work.
Mhm. Exactly. Which in that case, what do you want? How do you expect to have a relationship if you're not willing to do the work? It's almost like I want to have a car, but I'm not willing to go to a car dealership to get a car. But I really want the car. But I don't want the car which I inherited from my grandparents, which you're not even drivable anymore, right? So you got to do some work for that. And the same with relationships. And that's why I really, really want to address the importance of this topic of, building that relationship starting from home, which is in your heart, obviously, a relationship with yourself, but also building your success starting from your relationships. Because, I mean, after working with so many couples and also with working with single people who later on are trying to find somebody, what I witnessed also, and also in my case as well, what I witnessed, the more you become successful, the more fears than you have about your potential partner. So isn't it much easier to start building things together? Isn't it much easier to actually start working on yourself so you are ready for healthy relationships, and then you work on your relationships, and together you work towards financial success rather than having a fear? What if now, when I'm all this successful, I'm going to meet somebody who will only be with me just because of success? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I would say in general, I think you got to work on everything simultaneously. I don't think
Mm.
you can say, hey, I'm going to wait till I have the right partner to start. I think it's kind of funny. I was with a friend, he's very, very successful, right? And he was wondering, you know, he seemed like all the girls that he had attracted to him was kind of like gold diggers, right?
Right.
And we asked him, we said, "Where are you going out to eat on your first date?" And he's like, "This restaurant." I says, how much is your bill?" He's like, $600, right? For a meal,
First
right?
day.
Right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I think
Yeah.
that's where lies your problem, right?
Yeah.
You're going for a meal for $600. They normally spend $20 for their meal, and now you're spending $600 for your meal.
Yeah.
Therein lies the problem. Take them out somewhere basic, somewhere simple, and show that simple side of you, and then they'll have a different. They will have you. They'll think of you. Not look at you for the money side, right? And
Yes.
basically, women in general, in their natural being, they're looking for security. They're looking for to be provided for. They don't
Yeah.
necessarily looking for, a certain level of volumes of money. They just
Yeah.
want enough to know that they're being provided for, basically.
Yeah.
Um, they're I think in general, I think we're all very. I mean, we're complicated, but I think we're also very simple in the sense that women are also looking for a very simple stuff. Actually, sometimes I'm more complicated than women are, in the sense that of what I'm looking for and what I want in life. So
Yeah.
women are complicated creatures, but at the end of the day, if you provide some basic needs that they're looking for, they become very simple.
I love that. You know what? I heard that there were three really powerful tips, really powerful tips. So, first tip for somebody who's already successful, when you go on a first date, if you're single and you're looking for a partner, so you're already successful financially, but you want to have relationship success, don't go to very expensive places, right? Choose something which is very moderate, so actually you don't show what you have. If you have this fear, if somebody will be with you because of your success, because of your money. So be careful where you go because you might show off a bit too much. So stay humble and show yourself as being humble. But also, I heard that tip about women, and I agree with you completely. Some people call it gold digging. It's quite interesting how both men and women we have the same psychology about hanging around people who already are secure, right? I don't really think any man also would be really willing to hang around with their male friends. Let's exclude women for a minute. And if these male friends will be highly negative, broken, and not willing to even succeed in their lives, not only financially, but in other aspects of their health and relationships and everything else. I don't think so. Successful men would want to hang around with a person like that. So the same actually happens with women. Why we women should go with somebody who is negative, who doesn't want to be driven, who doesn't want to succeed, with whom we will never feel secure. But what happens in society, as you mentioned, very often they're called gold diggers. And yes, there are gold diggers, okay? That is the truth. But also there are guys who are going after rich women. So as many girls are gold diggers, the guys gold diggers.
Right. When I say, I mean, I'd even tell my daughter, I would say, go after a guy that's successful, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna have to check out to see if he's gonna also look after your heart and all the other things, provide the other areas of your life too. But at least he's successful and he can provide for you, and he's a goer, he's a grinder, right?
yeah,
So there's no issue with a woman going after a guy that has a bit of financial success. But like you said, there's a line there, right? Are you going? And that's only example I was giving was his example because he was just needing that first or second or third date where it's very basic, so they don't create some kind of narrative in their head that's probably not a healthy one. That's all. So
exactly, 100%. Now, I love that because I think it's quite powerful when you really stay humble and then people connect with you just because they connect with you. And the third tip, which I heard from you earlier on, it was about that real connection. Looking for that real connection, real heart to heart connection, real conversation with people. Because the worst thing can happen, you're with somebody and you're spending, sometimes people spend like 40, 50 years together. They still don't know each other. They still are not aware of what are each other passions, what are each other likes and dislikes, and other deep stuff. And I think this is quite a challenge, especially nowadays when people are busy with COVID-19, with the news on the television about everything else in the world rather their own family.
right.
So
So I talk about this. I talk about this quite a bit, and we talk about, I talk about the connection to the heart. You know, the therapy that I've done a lot of times in the past with connecting with the heart. And it's when we connect with at the heart of the other person that we understand their fears, their concerns, their hurts, their all these things, that that person will start opening up to you and start sharing other areas of their life, right? And quite
Yeah.
often that's the problem, is a lot of people aren't willing to share the rest of the stuff. And quite frankly,
Mhm.
I don't blame them, you
Yeah.
know, if they don't have the connection of the heart, right? And they're pretty much what women typically say: if you can't connect my heart, I'm not going to share the rest of my life with you, right? And so, yeah, that's all. I mean, again, what I do is just that, you know, that therapy that connects with the heart. So do what you can to connect with that person's heart, to get past that mask, because we all put it on. And in relationships, I'm sure a lot of people have them on continually because basically they have hurts that haven't been looked after, have been dealt with. It could be years old, and are still sitting there. The kind of the mask has got old and broken and that kind of stuff, that you have to get past it. So yeah, that's what I recommend.
I love that. That's beautiful, beautiful recommendation. And once I had opportunity to actually witness your therapy, which you were doing, the heart-heart connection, and that was absolutely beautiful. The energy you created that time, and the effect on that person, the effect on you as well, it was just absolutely phenomenal. So it's so powerful when you really connect with people, when you really almost like take them on a journey of connecting with their own hearts. And I think it can be really beautiful if two people in their relationships would learn how to really care about each other feelings. Something we recently also discussed about talking more and discussing everything else rather than children and problems and situations in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's what everybody's looking for, is a true connection of the day. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for a true connection. Doesn't matter who you are. You can win over anybody by just having that true connection. As wealthy, as poor as they are, as beautiful, as hot as they are. I mean, I'll tell you, anybody's watching this, if you can connect with a woman at a deep level, an emotional heart level, I don't care how beautiful she is in the world, she's gonna fall for you. And I've seen it over and over and over again. Yeah, just because no one's getting this connection anymore. No one's
Yeah.
getting this connection, and especially right now. You know, if you bring a girl home to you, man, and you connect with her at her heart level, and get to that depth, she's yours, man.
That is very, very true. And what happens, unfortunately, nowadays is when people pay too much attention to social media connection, to other type of connection of showing off, of talking, yes, I'm with this person, I'm with that person, but not really connecting. So it's almost like people connect on the surface for the sake of being together for other people to showcase that instead of really building that inwards, building that relationship from inside. Because who cares? The world doesn't really care with whom you are. The world really doesn't care. Facebook status doesn't really mean anything. However, when you build so much on the surface, this when actually relationship falls apart later on because you haven't been building the foundation, which is that connection which you speak about, which I think is really, really powerful. Well, it's wonderful. But what would you suggest to those people who are single, how they could build that connection with the heart if they are single right now, they don't have anybody to connect with? What would be your advice to them?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how I got to this place of connecting with my heart. I did done it. I went to a retreat that I did connect with my heart. So, and since then I've been doing it ever since. You know, it doesn't matter if I was in business or I was in relationships or whatever. I mean, we have during this time with COVID, we have these incidences at work where people are from one end of the scale where they're paranoid of COVID to the other
Yeah,
end of the scale where they don't care. And so I'm on the other scale, side of the scale, where I don't care, but I still got to be in my heart connection to still
yeah,
connect with those people that are paranoid and understand where they're coming from, right? I don't, it's okay with me that they're paranoid. I don't need to change their mind, right? I'm just going to be there and say, yeah, you know what? I respect it. You know, we all have our own fears, and I respect your fears. And
mhm,
I don't have your situation. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know your mother. I don't know your father. I don't know your brothers, sisters. I don't know what kind of ailment they have. I don't know what they've been being fed. As far as, you know, news or fears or all that kind of stuff. I don't know any of those things, right? So I can stay connected in my heart. It's totally respected. and still have my opinion, right? And still love on them. And so that's basically what I do. But again, I guess one other thing I'll say is that I clearly still have an opinion, right? I
Yeah.
clearly still have an idea what I think of COVID, and that's what gives me that ability, right? I can
Mhm.
say here, I says, yeah, I can say I love COVID, I love this, I love that. It could be all controversial things, right? It doesn't bother me. COVID doesn't bother me. I actually had COVID, so it doesn't. I don't care, right? And I can say a lot of things that are controversial, and you
Mm,
could disagree with me, and I can still love you, right? And that's the art. That's the
yeah.
art of connecting, right? And that's the art of connecting with yourself. And that's the art of also women loving you because they know that you're a dude. You're not going to be pissed off and bothered
Yeah.
by her having a different opinion or her having a different mood or her being upset today or happy tomorrow because you
Yeah.
become a solid rock for her, right? And that's the whole transpiration of beginning with you connecting with your own heart, right? And that's why people start loving you is because basically because you connect with your own heart, they can notice that, but you also don't care. It's not that you don't care about them, you don't care about what people's opinion is about you, right? That's
Yeah.
the part you don't care about. I still care about them, but I just don't care if you like me or not. It's irrelevant to me now. It's completely irrelevant.
Wow, this is so blunt. This is so straightforward. I love that. So basically, it is about being authentic and being real you. Something many people actually forget about because they all tiptoe. They all tiptoe around each other around what is the right thing to say, what is the right thing to do. But actually, what I hear from you is be you. Be that real, brutal, whatever you are. I mean, I don't mean arrogant and violent and whatever else,
Yeah.
but be that real you and share your real opinions, share with your even with yourself when you're by yourself. Stick to who you are. Don't try to be somebody else, don't match somebody else, but be who you are. And you are right, because only when you are who you really are, then when you meet somebody else, and usually we attract people at the same level what we are like. So if you are completely authentic, you will attract somebody who is authentic as well. That means you together now can build really strong connection as long as you really work on that, so you two can actually work together towards successful relationships. That sounds beautiful to me. Sounds like a good plan to action. Thank you.
Right. And I'd say the last I'd say, we all, I think most of us are looking for a level of truth or a
Yeah.
sense of truth in our life. And you're not gonna find it unless you become
Mm,
open to opinions of other people, right?
yeah.
And accepting their opinions and accepting your own opinion. So that's where truth is formed through this
Yeah.
formation of respecting and appreciating other people's opinion without getting all up in arms about it. And that's where our society is going. We talk about it's getting a little bit off topic, but this is where the basis of it comes from. But we talk about freedom of speech and having everybody have their own words. But as you can see, more and more people are getting more and more offended. So,
Yes.
so if you really believe these kind of things, of freedom of speech and everybody having their freedom of opinion, then it all starts with you respecting and appreciate your own self, your
Yes.
own opinion, and then you can also do that for those around you. And you know what? You can be in a perfectly good relationship, and you can love for people like you can go love people like Trump that's so controversial, and your wife can hate him, and you can still be in a great relationship. And people are like, how can you do that? I was like, 100% you can do that because you appreciate and respect her. You appreciate and respect and love her. It's not about your opinions anymore. I never argue with women anymore because I feel like everybody should have their opinion. Share it. That's
Yeah.
great. That's what creates the synergy. That's great. Creates you. That's what creates me. It's the masculine, feminine energy. That's all that kind of stuff, right? Don't believe what I believe. I don't care.
Love that. This is so powerful. So powerful. Respect each other' opinions. Don't try to win over because again, nobody should actually agree with your opinion. They are entitled to their own opinion as well. Love that. That's really, really powerful. Well, I can clearly see here a guideline to actually how to not only become successful but also maintain your success in life. Starting from home is basically starting from your home, which is your in your heart. Be true to yourself, be authentic, make sure you live your own truth, you stick to your opinion, you don't tiptoe around, but you actually are really being yourself. And when you meet somebody, strive for that connection, for that really deep, deep communication with somebody so you actually can build something together. And financial success, let's put it this way, as you said in the very beginning of this show, that actually if you focus on one thing and you do your great job, you'll become financially successful. I mean, nowadays it's quite challenging not to become financially successful, rather to become financially successful. So let's make sure that we actually successful around the entire life of ours, rather just financially.
Right. And I'd say too, financial success is difficult if your mentality is bad. You keep on going up against that wall and say, why am I not financially successful? Okay, you got to figure out some basic skills in life to add value to the marketplace. The reason why I'm mainly successful is because I serve people like nobody else does. That's
Yeah,
why I'm successful. I look at companies that are no longer serving their clients and I say, looks like these people are got a little fat. And my opinion is when people get a little fat in the marketplace, it's like the hog, it goes to market, it gets butchered. And
yeah,
I'm there to go and show them how to relearn how service is supposed to be done. And people will pay for service all day
yeah,
long.
yeah. Oh, that was such a great golden nugget there. I love that. So people work on your mindset, because if you keep hitting the same wall again, 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 maybe it's a wrong wall. Maybe it's time to do something differently for once.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you so much, David. It was a joy to have you today. Is there anything else you would like to share before we finish off today?
Love you all. Peace out.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody who was watching us today. I hope that was valuable to you. And please make sure you do start building your success in your life, starting from your home, which is in your heart. Be true to yourself, connect with your partner if you have one, and make sure you do work on your mindset. Thank you so much, everyone.